Hello everybody, MorbTron here. This video is a continuation of my, if you are thinking of switching or playing on both console and PC, and you're new to PC, what should you do? What sort of key binding should you have? What are the mechanical differences between PC and console? You know, the first video was more concentrating on the PC itself. You know, what sort of hardware you want to get the best performance out of Destiny, or at least get 60 FPS out of it. So if you haven't watched that, watch that first, and then watch this one. Or just watch this one. It's free country, do what you want. So in this video, we're going to be talking about key bindings and mouse and keyboard hardware. I got asked in the comment section of my last video talking about this stuff to talk about key bindings, and so I'm going to bunch that up with mouse and keyboard hardware, as I didn't really cover that all that much in the last video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is mouse DPI. Now, if you go into your controls here, you see it. You do have look sensitivity controls. So if I crank this all the way down to 1, you know, it's hard to see, but this doesn't actually do a whole hell of a lot in the actual game. Now, if you're on a controller, for instance, and you were to just absolutely crank your look sensitivity or turn all the way down, there is a huge difference, but there's not really a difference at all touching this when you have a gaming mouse that has software that controls the DPI. Look sensitivity doesn't do anything in the game. If you want to change it, if you have a gaming mouse, I'll show you how to do that. So the mouse that I have specifically is right here. It is a, let's see if I can go back home. There we go. This is a Logitech MMO gaming mouse. I believe it is called the G600. Yeah, the G600. That's what this is. So it has 12 buttons on the thumb here. I don't use all of them. I only use like these here for any of the games I play, because these 6 buttons in the front are not super easy to click with my thumb unless I hold the mouse in a way that's not comfortable. So I only use these 6 buttons. So you don't need an MMO gaming mouse by any means. You can get away with using just a standard mouse, but having thumb buttons, at least 2, is really going to help in the game. So, and then this mouse here, you know, it lights up, does all the fancy things, has onboard memory, which is nice because it can save different DPI settings. And DPI, what it is basically, is the higher the DPI number, the less movement you need to put in your mouse side to side to get it to go across your screen. The lower, so let's say your DPI is all the way down to 200, which is the lowest setting on the software, I would have to use more than my entire mouse pad to go across my entire screen. And if I had it set up all the way at 8200, which is the maximum for the software, I would barely have to move it at all, and I'd go flying across the screen. Now, being able to fly across your screen with, you know, a ½ an inch of movement might sound fun, but it's actually very, very bad to learn, because you don't have to move your mouse a whole lot for your aim to go flying off in a direction where you don't want it. Basically, you want the lowest possible DPI setting that you're comfortable with. And just if you're using a Logitech mouse, I don't have another mouse program because this is the mouse I have, so this is what I can show you. I apologize if you're using something different. But here's the DPI settings here for this Logitech gaming mouse. I have mine set at 1300, and here you see there's 4 different things I can save. These buttons here would switch between that, but I've had unfortunate events where I've accidentally clicked these like mid Crucible match, and all of a sudden my DPI is completely different and my aim is way off, so I don't do that. So what I have mine set at is 1300, and basically that's the setting that I like for gaming in general. I don't have to use more than my mouse pad to go from one side of my screen to the other. Now I do have a big mouse pad. It's about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet square, and the reason for that is I have a glass desk. So if my mouse goes off of my mouse pad, it's no longer going to read, because it's not a mirror glass, it's just glass, it's see-through. So the laser would go through and it wouldn't read anymore, and I'd have a bad time. So I want to make sure that my mouse never has the opportunity to need to go off the mouse pad, because I would have a bad time. So that's that. I have mine set at 1300. What I would recommend is setting yours at somewhere around 1000 if you're brand new to PC gaming, and then tweaking it 100 at a time, up or down, and seeing what feels good for you. And then once you find something that feels good, stick to it and learn it. But don't go crazy high, is what I would recommend. Go as low as you feel comfortable with, and you should be fine there. Now, as far as keyboards go, this is my keyboard here. It's a Logitech G510S. You do not need anything close to this fancy. You don't need the macro keys. You can set up macros here. I haven't used these since my World of Warcraft days, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Haven't used them. I mean, some people do macro in Destiny 2. You used to be able to set up jump macros to tighten skate really fast, and this keyboard would be like an easy way to do it. You can do it through software, but that's that. This keyboard is also massive and takes up a lot of my desk, so I wish that I had the version of this keyboard that didn't have the macros, because it would save, I don't know, probably about 2 inches of space. But it's a big keyboard. It's also not a mechanical keyboard, it's a membrane keyboard, so the keystrokes are nearly silent. The only thing that you hear is your actual fingers touching the keys. And that's it, and that's what I like about it, especially for content creation, so you don't hear me typing in the background or clicking when I'm moving around. But, yeah, so keyboard doesn't really matter, just something that you're going to be comfortable with. You know, something that has a wrist guard here. Wrist guards are important for wrist health. You don't want carpal tunnel. That's bad news bears. But moving more on to the game now, we've talked about look sensitivity and DPI for your mouse. Now we're going to go into key mapping. Now, I don't go crazy with my key bindings. A lot of people do, or I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some people go completely nuts and change a lot of stuff. Now, your emotes are going to be, you know, they're unimportant, but they're on the directional keypad, so they're not like as easy to activate, but they're there. But you're not gonna, it's not a combat thing. So emotes are there, whatever. Push to talk. Now, that's a thing that you can set up in the game, but nobody uses in-game. People use things like Discord, other software. Not that big of a deal. W, A, S, and D are movement keys. That's going to be, you know, your go-to. Highlight player, I've actually never used that. So I should see what that does. It's probably just highlights, just like on console, and you mouse over somebody or cursor over somebody. So the things that I do change for sure. Reload is R, you know, that's default. My melee you'll see is 7, and my class ability is 8, and block is also it's set to your melee key. It's like blocking with a sword, so I set that to 7 as well. You'll see my class ability is 8. 7 and 8 are on thumb buttons on my mouse, so that way I don't have to move my index finger off of the movement keys, which is default. I believe melee is V, and it's very out of the way. It's kind of a stretch. You want to be comfortable with your hands, gaming, especially if you game for longer periods of time, so the less like finger stretching you have to do to hit a key, the better. And then back into the bindings here. There are certain things that I just completely unbind as well. If we go scroll down to, let's see, crouch, I rebind to C. It's usually control, but left control or just shift is also sprint. So hitting shift to sprint and then control to crouch doesn't sound very good. And going down to control is kind of a stretch again with your pinky. So I use C because, granted, you know, A and D are strafing, but really you only use strafing when you're ADS on mouse and keyboard. Most of your other movement, like your turning, is done with your mouse. Strafing is done with A and D, and there isn't really a whole lot of strafing that gets done unless you're aiming down sights and using strafe to like tweak your aim and that sort of thing. That's when strafing is mostly used in PC gaming. But back to the things that I was talking about, just completely unbinding, is the weapon switching. So these are default here. Kinetic is 1, energy 2, power 3. It's the way that it's always been. You know, switching weapons or switching abilities in video games, 1, 2, 3 are pretty common. Super is F, that is also default. Grenade is Q, that is default. People that like to play Overwatch on PC will probably switch these two around. E is interact. X is in-air move. An in-air move is going to be, like if you're on Dawnblade and you want a Phoenix dive, that's what X is. I haven't rebound it because I'm a Titan main, and honestly I don't use in-air moves all that much regardless, and X isn't that much of a stretch at all. It's just straight down from D and right next to C, so not that much of a stretch, so I just leave it alone. But the switch weapon, next weapon, and previous weapon, I unbind these. And the only way to unbind them is to... So I'm going to use an example of, let's say I want to unbind power weapon. So I have to use 3. If I don't go and just hit, like, delete, it's going to make delete the key. If I hit backspace, it's going to make backspace the key. So if you want to unbind something, let's say I want to unbind all of my weapons. I'm going to take my super, it's F, right? I'm going to go F, 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 and then go back to super and hit F, and that unbinds them. But I want to be able to switch weapons, so I'm going to rebind them. There we go. But this is like mouse wheel. Having mouse wheel be that is really, really annoying if you accidentally bump it. Depending on the mouse you have, some mice don't even have like a scroll wheel lock. You know, so if you just bump it, your scroll wheel will just continue to scroll, kind of like on a free spin. And if they're sitting there constantly switching weapons because of that, you're gonna have a bad time. Other things here, you know, these are all default, not that big of a deal. This is all default here as well. Now, the text chat is something that is going to be way different, and that can be found in the gameplay. There's no text chat in the console version of the game. So if you want text chat notifications, which will appear in the bottom right, you can do that. I have mine on for no notifications. That doesn't make sense, but whenever somebody says something, it just pops up automatically there. So I think that's why it says on, no notifications. I have the profanity filter on because content creator. Auto hide is on, so if somebody says something and they don't say something for a while, the text chat will go away. That's default. Whisper chat I have set to everybody, so if anybody that's, you know, if you have it set to friends, fire team, and clan, only people that are friends in your fire team or in your clan will be able to whisper you. I have it set to everybody, just in case people need to get a hold of me for whatever reason. Team chat and local chat are set to automatic opt-in, which their default is off, or manual opt-in. If you're playing Crucible, especially competitive, being able to talk to your teammates and seeing what they're saying in text chat can be very, very important, so I have those set to automatic opt-in. And at the very top here, you see reticle location. And mine is set to PC default. So that's something I want to talk about briefly, and I'm going to get more into in the next video of this, where I talk more about the mechanical differences between PC and console. So let's find a good target here to look at. We'll just activate... Let's activate you. Why not? So... Alright, so my hand cannon right now is aimed directly at the simulated captain's head. Now, if I go into gameplay here and go from PC default to console default, what that's going to do is see how my entire screen shifted. So the reticle location is still centered on the captain, but my whole screen shifted down. So you see also more of your Guardian's hand. So pay attention to the glove of my Guardian. You're going to see less of, you're going to see actually more of my Guardian's hand on PC default, and you're going to see less space above my target as well. So pay attention to the roof here in the Tribute Hall and my Guardian's glove. Now this is something to, if you're switching from PC to console, or you plan on playing on both, and you play on console primarily, switching this and keeping it on console default might help you when you're switching from both PC to console. But if you plan on switching, you know, I would just say stick with PC default, because it's just the default on PC. So what changes is the perspective of what you're looking at. So on console default, for whatever reason, the targeting reticle is not dead center of the screen. It's slightly down from center. But on PC default, it is dead center on your monitor. So I don't know why that difference is there. I don't know why on console it's shifted down, but that's the way it is. So if you're noticing like a visual difference in what you're seeing in the game versus console and PC, that's it. Console default is just slightly down for whatever reason. So big difference there, and there are a lot more mechanical differences between the two, but that will be covered in a different video. That'll be the next video in this little series here. So if this video helped you out, or you want to see more of this, you want to support my channel, hit the like button for me. Share this video out there if your friends are hemming and hawing about, giving PC a try once cross-save becomes a thing and the game becomes free to play. I'd greatly appreciate it. But that was going to be it for this one, so have a good day, everybody, and I will catch you all next time.